Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. Today, I have a question which I want to answer. When a party of adventurers is delving into a dungeon, escaping traps, exploring lost ruins, slaying monsters, thwarting schemes, and collecting the oh so precious loot, you want a party, right? A valiant group of comrades which have escaped countless dangers alongside yourself. You've got your heavily armored warrior, a virtual wall of muscles that protects you, a nimble dual sword wielder who carves down foes left and right. You got a deadly archer flinging one arrow after another, and a wise mage who unleashes one deadly spell after another. But there is a party member who rarely gets that much fame, the white mage. You're a healer and supporter. And I need to ask, do you even need them? Is a healer just dead weight in a battle? Jason, are you crazy? Healers are important. There is a well-known phrase, you don't mess with the white mage. That's what you're thinking, right? Well, hold your angry comments for a moment. Let me tell you a little story. As many of you probably would guess, I used to play World of Warcraft, and my guild ran many dungeons. But we didn't always run the tank, healer, and 3 damage dealers and crowd control party setup. No, we started running heroic difficulty dungeons with a 5 damage dealer party setup. Yes, we ran a full offensive setup and just nuked everything. After all, the best form of crowd control is a dead enemy, is it not? Now my guild was an endgame PvP heavily specialized guild. That's how we did it. When I would go into a battleground solo on my warlock, I would always top the damage and kill charts, and usually be the next 5 players combined. And my guild was filled with these kind of insane burst DPS setups. And we see this in other games too. In Baldur's Gate 3, the best healer is to use a mage hand and have it throw potions. And this brings up my point. Is it even worth bringing a healer into a fight? Is it worth bringing in someone who can barely fight into fights, which are life and death? Would it be better to bring another attacker? Okay, time to do some damage calculations. And I'll round the numbers up a bit due to there not being partial attacks. Let's say that the tank does 1 damage a second, and each DPS does 10 damage a second. And let's go with 3 of them. So 31 damage a second all together, and 0 from the healer. Then a foe with 100 health will take 4 seconds to defeat, with the tank's damage being negligible. But what if we add another DPS instead of a healer? Well, we are down to 3 seconds. And if we replace the tank too, this fight will be completed in only 2 seconds. Yeah, that is so much better. It's so short that it is unlikely that your foe will even harm your DPS. But that is such a short fight. What if we up the difficulty and make this a boss? One with 1000 health. Now, how long will it take to defeat the boss with 3 DPS? Well, about 33 seconds. And now we get the tank's damage added in. So the question then becomes, can the tank survive those 33 seconds? Well, that is the job of the healer. Well, surviving is the tank's job, and the healer only needs to help if the tank might fall. So the question comes down to, what is the tank's breaking point? However, there is an issue right there. What if we don't have a pure healer? A hybrid healer and damage dealer? Let's say they do 5 damage a second, but half as good with healing. Then the fight would only last 27 seconds. Wouldn't that be better? And this was the mentality of my guild's top healer. If I do damage, it dies faster, and then the less healing I need to do. And that is the point. It is no longer a white mage. They are a mixed build. But there is another skill which white mages usually have, and that is buffing, improving their allies. And we can do the damage calculations. Let's stay with the standard 10 DPS. So if the white mage can increase their offensive potential by 30%, that is 13 damage per second now. And that means our 1000 health boss will lose at the 25 second mark. A full 8 seconds faster than just the damage dealers and the tank. So if the support mage can do a buff like that, they can make up for their lack of offensive power. Yet this threshold falls as the size of the party grows. or if the power of the buff is any higher, it becomes even more obvious. Yeah, with this one spell, a white mage can easily make a worthy addition. So everything looks good as long as a few conditions are met. The white mage can improve the rest of the party enough to overcome the benefit of having an additional damage dealer. And they can keep the tank alive long enough to get the job done. In my guild, we had a standard kill order in PvP. First target was the healer. And this was the thing with most healers. They can't heal if they are dead. And this is the danger that adventuring parties will be facing. The very first thing that your foe will do will have their archers snipe the healer. And if you enter the battle with your healer in the back, your foe will attempt to sneak around from behind and get the healer. That means the rest of your party will be needing to protect them, intercept attacks, and prevent threats. Sadly, this quickly turns into an escort quest, and no one likes those. Some helpless fool that can't do anything on their own. No one likes dealing with that. And this is the issue. They can very quickly turn into a liability. Yet the worst is what happens if they get separated from the rest of the party. Alone, they can't do much, and will likely just die. And this brings up how the healer can survive. One option is to make the healer durable. There are multiple ways. Bulking up the healer using some tank-like abilities. But a better option is mixing in the rogue, a stealth ability, one to keep them out of danger. This lets your healer stay safe for as long as possible. If your healer can't be attacked, then they can remain safe, and so does everyone else. But there is another option, the one which my guild would run during arena battles. We'd have 2 members with healing spells ready. Now, they'd also run offensive abilities too, so not defenseless. Yet we did have another option, the tank pretending to be a healer. Kind of a dumb trick, but it did work wonders. My paladin wasn't a healer, but a tank casting healing spells. I'd position myself as bait and get the foes to attack me. Best was when our 2v2 team had to face our guild's other 2v2 team. The double rogues tried to stunlock me, only to achieve nothing. Made for a fun guild chat between the 2 teams. And this is the other option. A healer which can't be slain. And a strategy which healers can exploit is their positioning. And these are the things which I did touch on earlier. Why not use multiple healers who are also hybrid DPS or tanks? That means when things do go wrong and your healer goes down, you aren't over. The second healer can recover the party if given the chance. But what if that limits the damage again? Let's say the hybrid damage dealer and healer only does 5 damage a second. So 2 hybrids, 2 pure DPS, and 1 tank. So again, a total of 31 damage a second. So again, a 33-second fight for the 1000 health boss. And it levels out at the same as the 3 DPS setup. But remember the buff option. A 30% boost on DPS will go to 41 damage a second. Or it would drop the length of the fight to 25 seconds. Still pulling the same time frame. Further increasing the number of healers would reduce the total DPS option though. Of course, this brings up the difficulty of splitting duties. Generally for my guild, each healer would have their assigned targets. But of course, our plans always go sideways. Someone chases a foe and ends up outside the assigned healer's range. This means that the party will need good communication. Of course, if everything is going according to plan, only the tank should be taking damage. So a single healer should work perfectly, until the enemy mages starts dropping fireballs all over the place. Potentially, the tank might be a weak link on the truth about roles in adventurers' parties. Yet what if our tank is also the healer? So 3 pure damage dealers, a hybrid healer, and a hybrid tank. That would give our total party DPS of 36, or a 28-second time for the boss before the buff. With that, it comes up to 47 damage per second, in a time of 22 seconds. Of course, can you be a tank and a healer at the same time? Well, sadly, It's not that easy, as I can attest myself. However, all of this has just been number crunching and purely theoretical. And this is why I mentioned the little story about me doing a 2v2 arena battle using a tank build with some healing mixed in. It is the human element. An opponent will follow a fairly simple thought process. We were a warrior and a paladin team, with the paladin being the healer. They can't kill the warrior if he's being healed, so drop the healer first. Subpar damage and survivability is the usual setup. So, burst down the healer and then it's a 2-on-1 fight. But when they attack me, they can't drop me as I heal myself up despite their best efforts. Only when I revealed my Avenger's shield did they realize what was going on. But by then, it was too late. So make of it what you will. Generally, I would definitely think that having a healer is basically a requirement for a party. You will get hurt, and death isn't an inconvenience. So at least one person definitely needs to know healing magic. But best of course is if everyone knows a little healing magic. I'm not saying that they should all be healers, not at all. They each just need to know the basics, enough to tend to your own wounds. But do you need a healer when healing potions exist? I joked about the best healer in Baldur's Gate 3 just being the mage hand throwing healing potions. And that's the thing. If healing potions are a cure-all, a solution to any wound, they are perfect. Who needs someone wasting their time waiting for their party members to get hurt, when you can just pop a potion whenever you need one? Of course, you can't drink a potion while you're being stabbed, or blacking out from blood loss. That's where you'll need a party member to do it. So the same as the healer. Except healing potions might get expensive, will weigh a bit, and you will run out. So your choice which you will use. Maybe one healer with healing potions? Yes, healing is very important, and an adventure party should have some way to pull it off. After all, a dead adventurer is of no use to anyone. Your quest isn't filled until you die, right? Either potions or spellcaster. Each has advantage to be sure. So my final verdict? No, they don't want a healer. They want two. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next time. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.